Okay, so let's talk saunas. They're everywhere right now, right? From fancy gyms to people's own backyards, they're hotter than ever. But the minute you start looking into getting one, you get hit with all this jargon. You've got traditional, you've got infrared, you've got hybrid. I mean, what does it all even mean? Well, don't sweat it. We're going to break it all down and clear the air on this whole thing.
And really, it all comes down to this one big question. See, it's not just about getting hot, it's about how you get hot. The way these different saunas make you sweat, it's completely different technology. And that right there, that's the core of the whole debate we're about to dive into.
All right, let's start with a classic. You know, the OG of heat. We're talking about the traditional Finnish sauna. This is an experience that has been perfected over, like, centuries. So how's this whole thing work? Well, a traditional sauna is all about the stove and the rocks. You've got a wood or electric stove that heats up these stones until they are absolutely scorching hot. And we're talking really hot, like up to 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the air is super dry until you take a ladle of water and throw it on those rocks. Whoosh, you get this intense blast of steam. The Finns call it loilu. And that is the secret sauce. That's that intense all-over heat that the purists absolutely love. You know, the easiest way to picture this is to think of a convection oven. Seriously. Now, it's not trying to cook you, obviously, but the idea is kind of the same. The main goal is to heat up all the air in that little room, and then that super hot air is what heats you up, and that's what gets you sweating. Okay, so that's the old school. Now, let's totally switch gears and look at a completely different way of doing things. This is where the infrared sauna comes in, the modern challenger that basically just throws out the old rulebook on heat.
With infrared, you can just forget about heating the air. It's not about that at all. Infrared saunas use waves of light to heat your body directly. The best way to think about it is like standing in the sun on a cool, crisp day. You know that feeling? The air might be chilly, but you can feel the sun's warmth right on your skin. It's the same idea. And because of that, they can work their magic at way lower temperatures. We're talking maybe around 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
So let's put them side by side. On one hand, you've got traditional saunas heating the air around you. On the other, infrared is heating you directly, almost from the inside out. And here's the really big claim that you'll hear a lot. Proponents say that infrared light actually penetrates deeper into your body's tissues. The idea is that you get a better, more efficient sweat, all at a temperature that's a lot easier for most people to handle. And look, those claims are a huge part of the appeal. This is why people are so interested. People who love full-spectrum infrared talk about a whole list of amazing benefits. Things like enhanced detoxification, better circulation, deep relief for sore muscles and joints, even stress reduction, better skin because of collagen production, and maybe even a little help with weight loss. I mean, these are the big promises that are really driving this whole infrared revolution. Okay, so you've got old school and new school, the classic and the challenger. So what happens next? Well, naturally, someone tried to stick them both in the same box. And that brings us to the third major player in this story, the hybrid sauna. And the idea behind it is pretty simple, really. It's like, why choose if you can have both? So a hybrid sauna literally just packs both into one room. You get a traditional stove for that classic, super hot, steamy experience, and you get infrared panels built into the walls for that direct, deep heating warmth. It's basically two different saunas in one. Yeah, let's take a look under the hood here. This diagram from a user manual really shows you how it works. So see that? You've got your traditional stove right there, all ready for you to throw some water on it and get that sizzle. But then, if you look closer, you can see these panels on the walls and even under the bench. Those are all infrared heaters. The idea is that they can work together or you can use them separately. It's a true dual-threat heating system. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, on paper, it sounds like the perfect solution, the all-in-one dream machine. But does it actually give you the best of both worlds, or is it more of a compromise? You know, a jack of all trades that's a master of none.
To really figure this out, we've got to get past the marketing hype and the glossy brochures. We need to hear what actual users think. So, we're heading straight to the front lines, online forums where people are sharing their totally unfiltered thoughts. And this post from a Reddit user just perfectly captures the confusion. They say, I've seen people say that hybrid saunas give the worst of both worlds, but don't understand the logic. And that really hits the nail on the head, right? They've heard the criticism, but it just doesn't quite make sense. It really gets to the core of the whole thing. Are the critics onto something, or are they just being snobby about it?
All right, here's a really strong take from this skeptical side. This user puts it pretty bluntly. They say, adding infrared elements to a sauna is like paddling a speedboat. It's a completely redundant expense. Their point is that a real traditional sauna gets so intensely hot that the heat radiating off the walls and the stove is already giving you that deep, penetrating heat. So, from that point of view, adding extra infrared panels is just pointless, a totally redundant expense. But then you read a story like this one, and it just completely flips the script. This user says his wife has rheumatoid arthritis and that using the infrared function a few times a week has reduced her need for medicine by almost half. He says it helps a ton with back pain, too. So for them, it's not redundant at all. It's literally life-changing. It's therapeutic. And then you've got the purist's take. This person has both types available, but they say that since they built their own traditional sauna, they haven't even used the infrared one because it's just an unenjoyable experience. And that's a huge point. For some people, it's all about the feeling, that intense, humid, all-encompassing heat. It's a whole vibe. And for them, infrared just doesn't scratch that same itch. Okay, wow. So we've heard the science, we've heard the marketing claims, and now we've heard from real people caught in the debate. So, what do you do with all this information? How do you actually make a choice? Let's try to pull all this together. All right, but before we wrap this up, there is one thing that is absolutely crucial no matter what kind of sauna we're talking about, and that's safety. Seriously. Every single user manual is packed with warnings, and it's for a very good reason. Spending too long in that kind of heat can cause something called hyperthermia, which is really dangerous. So you should always, always talk to a doctor before you start using a sauna, especially if you have any kind of health condition. Just remember, this isn't medical advice, it's a wellness tool, and you have to use it responsibly. So here it is, the final breakdown. What's the bottom line? It really just comes down to what you want. If you're a purist, if you want that authentic, super intense, steamy sweat, then traditional is probably for you. If you're looking for more targeted, therapeutic heat that's a bit gentler on your body, then infrared is likely your best bet. And if you really can't decide and you want the ultimate flexibility to have both, well, that's what the hybrid is for. You just have to decide for yourself whether it's a life-changing tool or just, a speedboat with paddles. And when you zoom out, this whole sauna debate is really about something bigger. We just have so many technological options for our health and wellness now, more than ever. And making a choice isn't really about what's old versus what's new. It's about understanding what these different technologies are actually trying to do, listening to what real people have experienced, and then figuring out what you personally are trying to get out of it. At the end of the day, the best choice is always going to be the one that actually works for your body and for your own goals.